There is another approach that we can take in attempting to understand why Yosef delayed informing his father of his whereabouts for a period of 9 years, based upon a midrashic view recorded in Masechet Megillah. Yosef's brothers have just returned with the bloodied coat and asked their father to identify it, which he does. He then begins a period of mourning, Vayikra Yaakov Simlotav, begins wearing a sackcloth, and Vayitabel al Bano Yamim Rabim. It formally begins the process of mourning for Yosef. For whatever the reason, Rashi interprets the Yamim Rabim as a period of 22 years, and then proceeds to justify this extended period of mourning. Rashi's justification is that this was a Midah K'Neged Midah response, in that whatever Yaakov did came back to haunt him. Yaakov did not fulfill the mitzvah of Kibud Av V'Em for 22 years. Circumstances had it that Yosef was kept away from home, away from Yaakov, away from the opportunity of fulfilling the mitzvah of Kibud Av V'Em for a period of 22 years. In the words of Rashi, K'Neged Chaf Bet Shana, the 22 years of Yosef's absence paralleled the 22 years Shelo Kiyem Yaakov Kibud Av V'Em, in which Yaakov did not, on account of circumstances beyond his control, fulfill the mitzvah of Kibud Av V'Em. Rashi goes on to read this concept back into the mouth of Yaakov, where we find in Bereshit 31, after leaving Haran, Yaakov is confronted by Lavan for an explanation for the hasty departure. His justification is that from day one he had been subject to constant deception from Lavan, and it was now time to leave. I was with you for a period of 20 years, he says. In order to marry your 2 daughters, I had to work for 14 years, and it was only in the final 6 years that you allowed me to make a profit from my work as a shepherd. And even then, v'tachlof et maskurti aseret manim. You kept changing the terms of employment. What is puzzling, though, is the use of the word li, which at face value is not synonymous with the word hayiti, I was. On account of this textual anomaly, Rashi reads a fill-in type midrash, hinting at the fact that he will be held accountable in the eyes of his father and in the eyes of God at some time in the future. In the words of Rashi, V'zehu sha'amar l'Lavan. This is what he meant when he informed Lavan, Ze li esrim shana bebeitecha. Lihem, they are mine, alayhem, which Rashi understands to mean, I am going to be held accountable for the fact that I spent 20 years in your home. And therefore, v'sofi lilkot kenegdam. I anticipate that ultimately I will be punished kenegdan on account of them. There is a slew of theological issues that this midrashic interpretation raises to be discussed elsewhere. This Midah K'Neged Midah reading of the text could possibly be an explanation as to why Yosef did not inform his father earlier, in light of the fact that there was a 22-year decree that he, Yosef, needed to be away from home. The Rebbe in the SICHAH will reject this option on 3 grounds. But first, a slight digression into how we calculate the various time frames, and in particular, the 22 years in which Yaakov was in Haran, corresponding to the 22 years that Yosef remained in Egypt.